You came from a interesting background, right? It's like you came from, somebody that would be kind of a client of ours as a company, and then, coming into the industry, what was it like kind of, because were you on kind of the other side of it first and like, kind of dealing with contractors directly or indirectly?
Yes.
And then now you're kind of,
I basically felt like a general contractor, just from the construction standpoint, managing those contractors and those relationships. And it's very interesting to see how small the industry actually is and that sense of community that you have. Like, I never in a million years thought that I would be working for, a company that manufactured asphalt paving equipment.
If it's any consolation, girl, I'd never thought that I'd own an asphalt paving company either when I was a kid. I always joke about that. I'm like, I don't think anybody, ends up in this industry. And like most people, if it's a family business, it makes sense. Like the next generation, they kind of go into it. But as a whole, like, this industry really attracts, I think, people with like, good values, hardworking. There's a commonality that exists.
With all different backgrounds.
When you boil it down,
together.
It's like everybody is the same, right? We might be very diverse on the surface, but when you boil it down, everybody's looking for the same thing. So, what are you most proud of about working for LeeBoy?
The family heritage. Like, when you look at a company that's went through as many transitions over the last 20 years and buyouts, when you look across the industry, when that happens to most companies, the brand changes, the people change, everything about the culture changes. But internally, when you look at LeeBoy, it's the same. I mean, we still have the original family members to the father that started this every day. And you came to the factory, you got to see it. You couldn't pick them out. I mean, these guys have sold a business and don't need to work, but they show up every day and say, as long as our name's on the side of that machine, as long as it's on the front of this building, we have a purpose and we have a legacy to uphold, and it's what our father built. And to look at 400 plus employees there building thousands of machines a year, and there's still that much personal pride, it makes it fun to be a part of that, because you don't feel like a number. You feel like you're part of a family. Even if it's not in your blood, it becomes your blood after you get there.
That's what culture does, right?
Yep.
It allows us to feel part of something that at one point we're a part of, right? And that makes it really unique. And I can speak to that, like, the feeling. I always say the temperature of a business, like, kind of how successful a business is, what the culture is. This is easy for people to detect in restaurants. You walk into a restaurant, before the meal comes, kind of how it's going to be, right?
Yep.
Like, like, oh boy, this isn't going to be good. I'm going to have to eat this, regardless, but it's probably not going to be that great because you just feel it, right? And it's the same in a business. I could walk into a business and say, like, these people are bought in.
Yeah.
This is a family-like environment, and certainly it is that way for LeeBoy. How about you, man? What are you most proud of about your business?
I think just, being able to get to where I was. I came from a very blue-collar background, and I remember my dad said to me, like, why do you want to start a business? That sounds like a bad idea. So, I grew up with that. My mom, she's a teacher. She would always tell me, like, you have to go to college. You can't work in construction. And, like, I was able to prove that you can do that and scale it. And we're in our 11th year now, where if you look, like, a lot of businesses don't make it past 10 years. So happy to be able to make it this far.
Yeah, if it's any consolation, my dad told me the same thing. He said, you have 3 kids and a wife that stays at home. What are you going to do if this doesn't work? And I said, well, Dad, I think we'll have that conversation in a different house because they'll probably take this one away.
So you didn't have another choice. I mean, that's the beauty of what you guys have done as entrepreneurs to build this. You were all in.
Yeah, you'll never know what you're capable of until you have no choice.
Yep.
And for me, it was like, people ask me, like, how'd you stay motivated? It's like, well, I had glass doors on my office at my house that I started out of, and there was 3 little faces outside the door every day. Like, you don't have to look too far for motivation,
That's right.
So what wakes you up in the morning to go do your job so well at LeeBoy? Like, what is it about the job itself that really lights you up?
Definitely the people that I work with every day. But also, I feel like I'm proud to be a female in the construction industry because, we are the minority.
I love that answer. And I think it's becoming, there's a balance happening in construction. You can feel it. It's, you know, because it's not just, you know, a women in construction thing. It's like a real cultural shift that you see more women at the trade shows. You see more women doing the job in the field even,
Yes.
you know, and so I love that because I think it's, you know, it's happening in other parts of the world too. Like, you know, the girls basketball game had what, 13.2 million viewers the other day. And I was like, dude, it was
More than the men's.
and by the way, it wasn't,
Yeah.
it was actually like an unbelievable game. And that shouldn't sound surprising, but like, and I've said, like, I think women's sports are like making real massive leaps. Like if you
Yep.
go back, and I guess it's the same for male sports as well. Like, you know, the faster, more accurate, like all of those things. But like, you can watch women's sports now, and it's like
Yep.
legit. Like
Yeah.
those girls are getting it done, man. Like the LSU game the other day was like off the charts, right? And so I think it's cool to see that the evolution and how it works. And what makes you most proud of LeeBoy?
I would say the family atmosphere and background.
Yeah, I just want to say this, you know, because when I went to LeeBoy, I didn't know what to expect, right? And you walk into this big facility, and you're like, okay, they build a lot of machines here. What's this going to be like? You know, it's kind of because a manufacturing facility, you don't think like there's going to be culture oozing out of it. And what Josh said is absolutely true. It's like you just see the buy-in. You can feel it. Like when you walk around there, like, you know, people are turning around saying hello to you. Like
Yep.
that matters. They could just, you know, do their job and, you know, look miserable, but they're not. They're happy.
Yep.
And I think that matters. And I think it's important for paving contractors to know that like there's something about like the person that's making your machine is providing for their family. They're a great person. They're happy to be there. They're attached to the mission. And I think the companies that have that last the test of time. They build new relationships. You know, it's a crazy world we live in. Like the marketing is, you know, all digital, if you will, and like, you know, it's kind of taken the personality out of it. But that's not the case at LeeBoy, and you feel that when you walk through there. And I just commend you guys for, you know, how you've told the story, how you've maintained the culture, because you guys are part of that too, right? It's like those guys showing up for work, the Lee brothers, that's part of it. But so is everybody else, like being proud of that and speaking of it and keeping it alive. So
I think the one thing about this industry that gets overlooked, and you don't see it in your daily life or probably don't think about it. You don't drive somewhere, park somewhere, transportate anywhere that hasn't been built on this industry. Like if you take a step back and you look at it, whether it's a parking lot, whether it's your driveway to your house, whether it's the highway, the runway for the airport, everything we do starts with this industry.